All right. So for my Make One Change project, if I was afforded a substantial grant in time, what I would do is I would create a year-long class for the 8th graders that are in my school, where I would tentatively call it Help Yourself. And it would be a class in app design and graphic design, where the end goal would be that students would identify an area in life where they would like to improve, and then they would create an app that helps them get to where they want to get to. So for some context, which I think is sort of important to understanding how I arrived at this conclusion, was that I teach the middle school that I attended as a student. So I graduated middle school in 1997. And when I graduated middle school, they actually, when I was in 6th and 7th grade, had a class, sewing and a cooking class. When I was in 8th grade, they got rid of that class in favor of a technology course. So where students would have a rotation of, say, wood shop and art and music, they plopped into a technology class instead of sewing or cooking. So it sort of seemed like that was the shift in the way things that were going. I always tell people in high school, my sophomore year, I had a class called The Internet, but we just had a CD-ROM, which simulated the internet. And then my junior year, the internet was there and it was real. So I grew up right on that cusp. So I was shocked when I showed up to teach 15 years later, and that the computer lab that existed in 1997 didn't exist in 2017, and that the integrated arts, which taught students how to use technology, doesn't exist now. But we have given the students one-to-one devices, but all of the training that went into technology has vanished completely, at least in my district. So when I grew up, we had typing classes. I had a class on Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Photoshop, so I knew how to use the technologies that were in front of me. I see now with some of my students, now Google Suites has replaced a lot of the Microsoft Office programs, but I have students, we're talking A-plus type students who, when they go to center the title on their story, they just hit the space 20 times because they don't know this. There's a center button up top because they've never been taught that type of stuff. And I think what I see is that a lot of my students are consumers of technology, and we'd like to shape them more into being capable of producers, which was one of the goals on the National Technology Education Plan. So that's sort of what I would like to see is giving students those skills. With those skills, though, I also see this sort of overlapping with a couple of other competing ideas, which is why I'm really excited about the potential of this type of curriculum. So I feel like we're reading a lot about universal design, and one of the exciting aspects of technology is that you can modify education and assessment to fit the needs of the learner. And I support that 100%. I feel like just part of effective communication is taking your audience into account and delivering your information in a way that meets their needs. But on the flip side, I feel as though one of the skills that students need to have in the 21st century, in this sort of knowledge economy, is self-advocacy. So where universal design may say, okay, if this student, so you're reading a text, the student has a hard time reading, you should give it to them auditorially. Again, I agree with that. But on the other side of that is I feel like students need to understand where are my strengths and how can I modify the world so I can fit into it rather than just having the world fit into me. And in a world where knowledge is almost ubiquitous, that's the skill they're going to need to have is, okay, I need to get this text in an audio version. How can I find it for myself? So what I really like about the app project is students would have to do a lot of fundamental searching and assessment of where do they want to improve. As far as my vision would go, it wouldn't have to just be academics. It could be sports, it could be athletics, it could be music, but it could be something that, I'm really struggling with learning vocabulary. Maybe I will create an app that helps me learn the vocabulary that I need to be successful. So I really think that a program like this would really help students with those self-advocacy skills, so they'll, going forward, have the feeling that, you know what, I may not know this, but I know that I can solve it. The other piece of this that I find intriguing is the artistic element. There's so many beautifully represented storytelling modes out there. So for instance, like some of the graphic novels use a lot of graphic design. There's a lot of TED Ed videos that have really neat cartoons, and a lot of the Vox Media YouTube channel has just really, really engaging visuals that help tell stories and communicate. And I think that type of video essay is going to be something that students could really use effectively going forward. But right now, I don't think they have any idea how to create a video like that. I sure don't, and I've never seen a student create it. So I think if we were to merge, have students create an app where they like the content, but then we're also given the tools to create a really good looking video, I think it would excite them in an authentic way. One of the inspirations for this was I saw the story of, his name is Richard Pearson. He's the creator of the Headspace app, which is a mindfulness meditation app. And so he was a financial advisor, was stressed out, dropped everything, became a Buddhist monk, found meditation was helpful, and then he himself said, I'm going to make an app so I can help other people meditate. And the app is really clean, it's really simple, and there's a lot of animations to it. So it made me think of it, if he saw a problem in the world that he wanted to address through his own personal passions, and he did it through an app with graphic design, then maybe that would be something that would motivate students as well. So yeah, I feel that if students were given a year to self-assess, to learn graphic design skills and app design skills, that was packaged in a way that was personal to them, meaningful, and this could be authentic. They could put it, they could download one another's, so it would help develop a sense of community. I think that that would meet the academic needs that we sort of challenge middle schoolers for, and I also think that it would meet the social, emotional learning demands that middle school is really the purpose of that model. All right, well, thank you very much for listening.